Welcome to the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast, your home for all things football at Waldorf University, the best small college football experience in America. Hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson, from the secret bunker beneath Bullsdorf Field.
Welcome to this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. Okay, folks, have you been texting the show? Because we need to know.
Oh, yes, they have.
Woo smack. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, Troy.
Yeah, they have.
Goodness sakes. And here we've been talking for a little bit, and you didn't even bring it up.
Well, I forgot about it. And yeah, so carry on until I find them, because it appears in my emails what happens.
So we're kicking off our summer series. And it's we've kind of let you know that what we're going to do is that, you know, if you'll remember, is we brought in the new men's head basketball coach, and afterwards that was such a great talk that it was like, hey, we need to bring in all of our other coaches in the different athletic programs here at Waldorf University, and we'll call it our summer series. We've got plenty, but we're very fortunate to bring in two of my absolute favorite Waldorf coaches, and that is Matt and Bree Ebenhoe, the coaches of our volleyball program, women's volleyball here at Waldorf University. So, folks, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. And I see Troy is themed in the volleyball shirt today.
Yeah, I got to look.
Yeah. I assumed he just went, and Matt and I, we had the same idea.
Right.
When I got up this morning, it's like, I don't know, what would Matt wear? I actually have that sweatshirt too, yeah.
Well, I have a volleyball. This is my volleyball outfit. Not the whole outfit, but this is my volleyball shirt.
Got a nice little skirt that goes with it.
This is nice.
Yeah.
And
it's a kilt, technically.
I have it because of one of your players, Jalen Hovenga. She plays for you, and she's kind of connected to our family with our son Jack, and been dating for quite a while. So, have been to some of those games, and it's been fun. That's for sure.
I believe they're called matches, Troy.
Well, it's there's a lot for me to learn.
We have experts right here in house.
We're going to ask. I have a lot of dumb questions to ask about the game of volleyball.
We're here for it all.
Well, that's
right.
good. We're good at dumb questions, but the first question is that our last episode, we decided that for the upcoming fall season, I know you folks are extremely busy during that time of year, but we needed a signature cocktail.
Yeah.
And we already have the name for it. It's a derivative, WU. If you know, WU is Waldorf University. We call our football program WU Ball.
Mm-hmm.
But then we researched last summer series. We talked about Hastings, Nebraska is the home of Kool-Aid. That's where it was founded. And its original name was called Fruit Smack. Yes.
That's a name.
Yeah. So we are our signature cocktail for the 2025 football season, and let's just call it fall sports. We can do this for everybody. Is going to be Woo Smack. So, do you have any ideas? Top of your head, what do you think? We said it has to be strong and it has to be purple.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the two rules. So
yeah. What should go in it? While you're thinking of that, some of the fan we have an enormous amount of fan mail this week. We got three, and that
is a monster increase from every other time.
Two of the three have to do with Woo Smack.
Can we list names of are we gonna?
We actually we have to only guess. Well, in one, I absolutely can, because it just, what happens when you text is that it appears as your last four of your phone number.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
So unless you put your name in there,
okay,
it's hard to see. But
copy.
This one says, Gridiron Treasurer will be bringing purple Jell-O shots.
Well, I wonder who that might be.
Yeah, so that could be Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
Appreciate that, Adam.
Good job, Helm.
And
but that's not. Is that really gonna? I mean, is that gonna be it?
No, this is another one. It says this is. So now we know who this is, Andy.
Okay.
This is Coach Lindsay.
Bring it.
I've got your woo ball juice. I got you. That's it. That's what he said.
I got your woo ball juice.
And then I missed one. Then we did have
It's
fan mail
Smack.
from back in March. And
whoa.
Yeah. And apparently there's
Stop talking. Was that it?
No, I don't know what this is. I didn't even look at it. Oh, this could be dangerous. It says, glimpse the future of lineman training.
Oh, so it's some sort of garbage, junk.
Man,
Okay.
could be.
Well, anyway.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
We've been. They're trying to sell us stuff.
Bamboozled is what you call it.
All right. Well, all right. Blitz block. I will
right.
take that into consideration.
A lot of buildup for a spam text.
That really was.
Yeah, that's
I mean, how do you get spam text on a podcast? But I guess we did.
wow.
Text the show, folks.
Russian Federation.
Yeah,
I'm
I
telling
don't
you
think
right
that
now.
is. Anyway.
All right, so our coaches here, Bree and Matt. You guys came to Forest City, Waldorf University in 2017. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, and I had the pleasure of meeting you guys at a local drinking hole that I happened to be. I kind of was part owner for a while, and that's kind of how I first crossed paths with the two of you, and then learned you're from my second favorite state in the union. Obviously, Iowa's my first, but you're from Now, Matt's not from there. He's not as cool as you, Bree, but you're from La Crosse, Wisconsin.
I am.
Okay. So now you're a little bit. So you coached at Aquinas before? Is it Aquinas or Quinas?
Aquinas.
Aquinas. You coached at Aquinas before you came to Waldorf. Did you also go to school there?
I did. I was a 2005 graduate of Aquinas High School. Go
All right.
Blue Golds.
Go what?
Blue Golds.
Blue
The
golds?
Blue Golds.
One word.
Just blue golds. All right.
One word. It's pretty cool.
All
right.
I'll let you guess our colors, Troy.
I bet they were red and white.
So close.
Okay.
Dang it.
Went to Marquette University, liked that blue gold theme, kept that
Yeah.
in for a minute.
How
And when
very Tommy boy of you.
very much. I came back, started teaching and coaching at Aquinas, and we were there for about
7 years.
seven years at
years,
the
yeah.
high school level before we came over here.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you got your master's degree from Mizzou.
I did.
Was that while you were at Aquinas?
Yes, it was an online program in positive coaching, and it just aligned with my values, aligned with my style, and it ended up being a great program for me.
Nice. And how did you choose Marquette? Sounded expensive?
It sounded expensive.
All right.
Catholic school to Catholic school, I applied to 3 universities and 2 of them were Catholic. One was Notre Dame. They said no. And Marquette ended up being the right fit.
Good. That's very good. Now, Matt, you're a Milwaukee kid,
Correct.
right? You're talking about 2 different coasts, East Coast, West Coast. I mean, that
Yeah.
gang feuds for years. East Coast, West Coast.
Lake on one side, river on the other.
So then how did you end up over in the La Crosse area? Did you, UW La Crosse, you
Yes.
ran track there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up playing volleyball, basketball, and track. Kind of narrowed it down to volleyball and track. And then the track team at UW La Crosse was incredible, was winning national championships every year. My older sister happened to go there, which was easy transition that way too. And that's kind of where I ended up and competing in track. College track career was cut short a little bit by an injury. And so I actually started coaching both track and volleyball while I was still in college. And that's kind of how I first connected with Aquinas High School in town. So that was kind of beginning of my coaching career as well.
That's
What
great.
did you run? Or did you run or?
Jumper, long jump and triple
Okay.
jump.
Long
Triple
jump.
jump.
And what's that?
Triple jump?
Yeah,
That's a
the
silly
state of
question.
Iowa doesn't do the triple jump.
That's
in
why I
high
didn't know.
school. And
Oh.
that actually
Watch the
during my high school career came to be an interesting story where we were doing a AAU summer. It was the regional championships to go on to the national championships for AAU. It was in Story City, Iowa.
Really?
And I go down there, and in regional championships, national qualifier, you'd think this is going to be a really well-run meet. And I go to compete in the triple jump, and they're like asking me, like, "Hey, we don't do this event in Iowa. What is it? What do you do?" And I'm just like, "Aren't you supposed to be the ones running the meet?"
Yeah. So what
It's
do
the
you
literal
do?
definition of a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, so it
is.
You run kind of up to a takeoff board the same way that you do in long jump.
Okay.
You can take off of either foot, left or right, but whichever foot you first take off of, you have to land back on that foot. Second jump is transition to the other foot, and then off that opposite foot into the sand pit. So hop, skip, and a jump.
So in your high school career and into college, when you were doing the triple jump, did you ever see somebody that didn't make the pit? Like, are they that bad?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that happens.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Okay, you played volleyball in high school?
No, listen.
Okay, sorry. Troy's got a...
Most track and field events, I think, come from some sort of like, I don't know, hunter gatherer, like warrior feat. Like they all make sense to me. I'm trying to figure, like, even the long jump. It's like, oof, we got to get across this ravine. Who's going to get across this ravine, and pole vault if it's too far or what, he got to get over a wall.
Yeah.
But the the triple jump, it's like the dudes that were, and they're like, listen, if I had a couple more steps, I can definitely get over this.
Or maybe like the little river, and there's like some big
stones
rocks in the middle, and you're gonna hop
Gotta get
from
to the
one
first stone,
and you got to get across.
There you go.
It all makes sense.
And then that makes sense. All right, I got it. See, that's what I need to have it in my mind.
No, I
how
get
that
it.
Works.
Yeah. I know you do.
I know that the shot put is like throwing a cannonball. That's what I think it is anyway.
You put it in a cannon, it goes a lot
It's
further.
been around since the Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
Not the cannonball part, but the discus, I'm sure.
Okay.
All right. And javelin. Did you have that in high school?
We did not have javelin in high school. We have it in college. I always wanted to try it. Was not allowed to for some reason. I don't know. Coach didn't trust me, I guess. I'm not sure.
But that's cool, though.
There was an
And
incident.
Waldorf does javelin.
Yes.
We'll talk to that coach down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
See, there's another example of that's what I'm getting at, is that it has this something to do with war activities, I think.
Everything goes back to war with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Bree, high school, was it just volleyball? And how big a school was Aquinas?
Aquinas was 500 kids when I was going through it. I did volleyball and softball all the way through, a little basketball in the middle. But volleyball was just so much fun and made so much sense to me, and it just came naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
But did not go on to play college. I went D1 for academics, but, no one took a chance on me there.
All right. And so you go back to Aquinas, and it was just that natural fit. Obviously, you love volleyball. And what'd you major in at Marquette?
Yeah.
Physics.
What?
Holy.
I have a degree in physics.
I thought you had a degree in music.
No.
I thought you were a singer, though.
I did sing in college.
Okay.
I was a member of some groups.
All right.
But now all I use that voice for is screaming the walls of the gym down. So
All
that
right.
voice
Nice.
is long gone now.
Okay. All right. So
Boy, I was way off.
just because we're going to breach this topic.
Yeah.
Where's it broach? You breach a wall, breach a door, broach a topic. Right?
Brooch, yeah.
I mean, I'll
Thank
take
you.
your word for it.
Well, I mean,
The
college
word
educated
for it
people
is
here.
either breach or broach.
Okay. Sounds good. Broach is something you wear.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
We're going to have to look that up after this episode. All right.
X the show.
Yeah. Is it breach or broach? Is it woo smack?
Yes.
So he's coaching at Aquinas or in college. You're coaching there. Is that how the romance started?
Actually,
I want to hear this one.
this one is interesting. After I graduated high school and went to college, the volleyball coaching staff there turned over, and there were some terrific coaches hired. They were coaching my younger sisters. So I naturally came back and was watching, some of their matches. I would wander into the gym during practice, and who was in the corner of the gym but a tall, skinny guy who was really good at jumping and everything else. And that's kind of how we met. He actually met my family first
Oh,
from my sisters kind of going through the program.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't have had Matt step outside while she tells this side of the story.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
And then, send her out and bring him in. Like, she wouldn't leave me alone.
How did you know he was really good at jumping? Was he over on the end of the gym just
jumping up and
hop,
down?
skip, jump? I mean, is that
I did not see his triple jumps
Okay.
at all.
All right.
but,
I'm fascinated with it.
No, when, if you're showing how to hit, showing how to block it, and you're
Okay.
a 6'5" guy and you're
Yeah.
demoing things, it's pretty noticeable when, your head and shoulders and entire arms are over the net.
Yeah.
And a little
Yeah.
5'6" kid you're talking to can barely get her fingertips over. So
This
it
is
was,
how you do it. What's the problem?
This is great
it
because
was noticeable.
now all of our athletes know that I actually used to be athletic because can't do that anymore.
You heard it here first.
All right.
Then what do you mean by that, Matt?
Oh, I don't have that vertical anymore. That's long gone.
Do you really need it at 6'5"?
That's a good question.
Come on.
still comes in handy.
Right. So not a whole lot of jumping. I mean, whatever ended your track career, was it leg injury, I assume?
Partially torn Achilles, which I'm very happy that it was only a partial.
Yeah.
'Cause I've heard the full one is pretty bad. So yeah.
Oof.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
Thanks.
No.
That's a major,
Mm-hmm.
major. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So,
Met the family first, though.
yeah. What was that?
I mean, he was just one of the coaches around, so they knew him. He was coaching with a friend who was also named Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So his differentiator was he was tall Matt,
Ah.
Oh, it's all Matt.
which
What was what was the other Matt?
Coach Matt.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like fat
Short Matt.
No.
Coach Matt and tall
No.
Matt. Coach
Yep.
Matt and tall Matt. So.
Yep. Chunky Matt.
So we were coaching the varsity reserve team together there.
Like the JV.
And
Okay.
her younger sister was on the varsity team, and so like I wouldn't say like knew the family, but like at least had like seen them before. So like
Right.
when she says met the family, that's a bit of a
You weren't coming over for Thanksgiving,
No.
and she's like, "Why is he here?"
No,
yeah,
no.
He's a nice young man.
You know, my parents were very strongly involved in the booster club and around campus running concession stands. So they knew what was going on and who was who.
All right.
All right.
And so was it just naturally blossomed into a romance and eventually a marriage, and then hey, let's move to Iowa?
I mean, that is the short version of it. If
Really?
you do that.
You nailed it.
Pretty much. First time we kind of met each other, started talking, and despite me growing up on the west side of Wisconsin and Matt on the east side, we completely flipped for college. So
Yeah.
it was just kind of that fun thing for a few years until I graduated and came back, and we stayed in La Crosse until it was time to jump over the river and see where we landed.
There are a lot of. I mean, there's more than one college in La Crosse. It's kind of it's a college town. I know that
It is.
there's a nursing school. Isn't there a nursing school there? And
The Turbo has a
The
nursery.
Turbo.
Turbo
yeah.
is that what I'm thinking of? Okay, and then
UW La Crosse.
UW La Crosse.
Came that close to going to
I feel
UW
like
La
there's
Crosse.
another one now.
there's a Western Technical College.
Okay.
Two-year school there
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And for any of our listeners, if you've never been to La Crosse, you have to go. My wife and I, we absolutely adore everything about La Crosse. And I mean, that's kind of when let's go away for the weekend. And I don't know, where do you want to go? And it's easy, just let's go to La Crosse, because you're always going to have a good time in La Crosse.
A lot of people in Northeast Iowa roll up to La Crosse for a good time.
Yeah, that's
It's a big city up there.
Matter of fact, for the last 3 years, my high school friends and I, we always get together and do a golf trip. And we land in La Crosse, or we were actually in Hoka last year, across the river, and we were driving through town. And one of my buddies, he's the president, CEO, and owner of a pretty big deal company. And I said, it's hard to believe that the shoes are made here. What? Like, there's a factory just outside of town. Really? God, I had no idea.
Lacrosse footwear.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so Hoka shoes. So he bought that hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, we've told stories about that trip. It's, trying to forget it.
You take him up to La Crosse, show him the old, lacrosse footwear factory. He might have believed
I was
it.
gonna say there
Yeah.
is legitimately a footwear. I think that's where she thought you were going.
That's
with
what I thought.
lacrosse footwear.
Hoka,
Yeah.
Hoka shoes, the athletic shoes. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, would have been funnier if everybody would have known what I was
We
talking
were not
about.
following.
Yeah, that joke
Sorry.
went over everybody else's head. It's
Oh,
Extra age.
I've had a couple pairs.
the level of Andy's humor is so much higher than mine. I am not. Sometimes I have to go back and listen to the show just to catch it.
Feels like a backhanded compliment.
I
Well,
legitimately
either way, there's a compliment in there.
I legitimately have a pair of Hokas on right now, so that's
Oh,
probably,
well,
probably a bad miss on my part.
does.
From Minnesota, right across the river from La Crosse.
I can verify. I can see.
Okay,
him.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So, okay, we fall in love. We get married. Did you get married in La Crosse, or did you go back to
In lacrosse.
East Side? Okay, big Catholic wedding.
Yes,
Okay,
very much.
yeah. Did you have an option? Nope. Okay,
Well, Fifth Amendment, right?
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so Bree, you told me one time that if I was ever at a certain place in La Crosse, I was supposed to look up your dad on Friday afternoons, and I never got around to it. And I always wanted to, but Tell us a little bit about your family. Like who's back home, and well, they might not all be back home, but who do you got for? How big of a family do you got?
Well, I got my parents still back in lacrosse. My dad is retired. My mom works in IT, still working right now. And then I have 2 younger sisters, one in Chicago with 3 little ones of her own. And then my youngest sister is actually in Rochester.
Okay.
And she has 2 and 1 on the way. So my parents are kept very busy being grandparents.
I can imagine.
But they're loving it, and it's a great time. It's really cool to watch your parents become grandparents.
Good deal.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Andy's going to find that out soon.
About 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it, of course. Yeah. And Matt, who do you got back over in Milwaukee?
Nobody immediate family. I come from a pretty small family, so very opposite of Bree. And unfortunately, both my parents have passed already. But my one older sister, she lives down in Savannah, Georgia, so we're a little bit spread.
Wow. Okay.
Well, good. I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah. So you are fully rolled up into Bree's family.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yep. So when you guys, so you see this opening, Forest City, Iowa, Waldorf University, and probably my guess is that with Viterbo and Waldorf have always had a little bit of a connection as far as the athletics and things like that, competing against each other through the years. What was the draw other than it was a job? And you can just say it's a job. I mean, nobody listens to this anyway.
It wasn't quite just a job. It, coming from lacrosse, I had actually coached in Viterbo's club. Mm-hmm. So I knew their coaches. They knew us. We were starting to connect with the Wisconsin volleyball coaching staff and work their camps and get to know them. And in every conversation with our coaching network, they're like, you're crazy what you're doing at the high school level. You're like the level of time and scouting and meetings, like investment that you're putting in sounds similar to what we do. And I was working on the masters, and a lot of people said you should explore the next level. And in looking at initial jobs, I mean, Waldorf was close, definitely one of the closest options, but still being in the same conference as Viterbo, those coaches were able to kind of say, we know she's a high school coach, a club coach, but she's doing all the things that would benefit a program. And Waldorf was perfect because it was built on people. And touring and going through the process, it became apparent that if you love what you do and you love the people that you can bring in to do it with, that Waldorf is a great place to do that. So very fortunate that ended up working.
Well, and we're fortunate too, obviously. And
yeah,
you bring in great kids. I mean, obviously you have kids that compete at a high level on the court, but you also in the classroom. I mean, you have a high standard of excellence throughout your program. Is that something that even back at Aquinas was like, if you want to be here, you got to make sure that you get it done there?
Very much. It wasn't apparent as we were coaching high school, but it became just kind of evident that if we were going to expect things of you, that we expected them full throttle. There was no halfway here, all the way here. If you were going to be on our varsity squad, you were also going to be getting after it in the classroom. You were going to be getting after relationships with, your teammates. And when we transitioned to the college level, we just never lost sight of that. And we've been extremely fortunate to have the buy-in to those concepts from so many different people, but to set an academic standard alongside an athletic standard, we've never really looked back on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean the volleyball team are they leading the other programs right now at Waldorf in
Yes.
GPA?
Yeah, and
I knew the
I do think but across the board, I think the other teams are also pushing the academic standards higher. And it's like every year at that end of the year athletic award banquet, they announce all the team GPAs, and we've been fortunate that we've been kind of that top program for the past several years. But like every year, it's like, oh, these other teams are like
getting closer.
But I know like one of the other things that we're proud of is that past couple years, besides being that top program at Waldorf, we've been in like the top 10 in the entire country for NAIA volleyball programs.
That is so awesome, you guys.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So you've got some, speaking of your team, now you're in the second iteration of full 4-year recruits. And so obviously you had, you inherited a certain number of, your team when you started in 2017. But since that time, you've recruited and replaced, and it truly is and has been for some time your team.
Yes.
And so, what is it that you are looking for in the character of the players? Because obviously, you always want the best volleyball players, and there are positions which I have questions about what they might be and all of that. But so what's the character of a Waldorf volleyball player?
A Waldorf volleyball student athlete is someone who just wants to be the best and is humble enough to take criticism and feedback and be told that she's never going to be a finished product, that as soon as she masters something, I'm going to have a next challenge. I'm going to have a next thing for her to get better at. And when you're out on the recruiting trail, you're looking for those kids that are absolutely glued in, zoned in, and all about the people around them and finding joy in the smallest of successes. Those are the women that translate really, really well into our program.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would say I think the biggest thing is we're very transparent in the entire recruiting process with them about this is who we are, this is what you're signing up for. And I think it actually helps to kind of weed out a little bit of like, hey, if this isn't for you, like this might not be for you, and I think something that they always hear is like, hey, this is a team that like we're going to have really high standards in everything we're doing. We're going to try to be really great on the court, but we're also going to be great in the classroom. We're also going to get out in the community and do a bunch of community service. We're going to be really active in things on campus, and that we want people that want to be part of a program like that and want to continue to uphold that. So I think that's a big part of it is you got to be clear in your messaging with recruits and their parents from the start about like, this is exactly who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have the I guess the camaraderie on a team is very important. So in the recruiting process, as you bring players in, they have to meet those characteristics that you just discussed, but then also they have to hopefully blend in with the team that you have, and they should be able to do so if you're kind of recruiting the same characteristics. However, how is the team camaraderie and as we ended last season and as we go into this next season, how are the players feeling about the team and the process and everything, and the new conference, which was our first test for everybody at Waldorf last year?
It was. I feel like I could write a book in answering that question.
It was practically a book asking it.
I think so. Moving into the GPAC for us, having about a year's heads up that move was going to be made, the messaging became, this is going to be better travel, more well-balanced for us. But at the same time, the North Star, we were punching with some really heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. The GPAC was 10 times that. Every night was going to just be a battle. So we made a concentrated effort of saying, the way that we're going to succeed in this first year is we're going to out-team everyone. Mm-hmm. Our relationships had to be rock solid. Our expectations, our forward motion as a unit had to be rock solid. And I think it paid off. We had some success in our first year in the GPAC. And as we move forward, graduating a large senior class, it became, how can we preserve this idea of us and what we do in out-teaming everyone else? And our returners, our transfers that we've added over break, they've really stepped up to that challenge and gelled. And whenever we bring any type of recruit in, they're always meeting the team. Mm-hmm. And that is what they say, a good vibe check. If the recruit comes into our meeting, we're like, how did you like the team? If they're like, well, their personalities, I'm like, yes, they are. Of course they are. And you need to love that you get to have your own personality coming into that. And our team is the same way, you know, oh, she's shy, but she's very sweet. Oh, she's super competitive. She fell right into us. Like, we allow everyone to be themselves and their personality, but you got to love this team that you're stepping into so that we can start making some progress out teaming everyone else.
I think the thing Bree mentioned there is that, like, they gel really well together. They spend a ton of time together. There's a lot of hard work put into that, learning how to communicate well with each other, doing some of the bonding activities. But at the end of the day, like, what's also stressed is you don't have to, like, assimilate to, like, this is your one personality that you can be. Like, everybody is allowed to be their own personality and be together and, like, embrace the differences in people as well. So I think that's really great about the team environment. And then, on the topic of the GPAC's been incredible. Like, you know, the North Star was great for what it was when we needed it, but the GPAC is a great step up to, you know, it is the best conference in the country for the NAIA, and it's something that at Waldorf we should be really proud about being a part of that conference, and Forest City should be really proud about, you know, our community being a part of that conference, because everything that they do is done, you know, really well thought out. We have an awesome commissioner. It's well organized. Games are well attended, both at home and on the road. It's the definition of excellence, which, you know, we kind of said is our program.
Yeah.
So it feels like home.
Everything's done at a high level at the GPAC in all the different intercollegiate athletics. I want to go back to, you guys mentioned, you know, you get the personalities of these women as they come on campus and become part of your team. And it's got to be pretty cool to see that gel, but also to be able to see some of these, you know, coming in, these young women, and really discovering themselves and finding their voice. And you have this shy, sweet girl as a freshman. And then after 4 or so years, you've got this ferocious, amazing woman that is going to go out into the world. That's got to be so much fun to see for you guys.
That's my entire coaching philosophy is I build leaders. I build women into leaders, and volleyball is just the mechanism by which I do it. And allowing their personalities, allowing them to be themselves is never boring, frequently exciting, sometimes frustrating, but it's their lives and they're going to be shaping so much of their lives beyond volleyball. So we give them the tools that they need to really stretch and grow into what is going to allow them to succeed after. And I am so proud not only of our program, but of our alumna. They are doing incredible things.
You just had, so football gets spring ball, and you before that, the week before, I think, was it a week before or a week after? But you all went up to Mankato,
yes,
and participated in several matches. And so, how did that go? And what did you see that you liked? And what are you looking to improve?
It was a really exciting day for us to get to play D2 competition, D3 competition, a lot of different conferences, different looks. But what we are always focused on is, have we improved on the things that we've just been hammering out in the gym, you know, and springboarding, because August still feels like a long way off.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not. But the team that comes in August is the one that, you know, is going to put up the records, is going to go into competitions wearing the jersey. So in the spring, it's just, are we controlling what we're controlling? Are we building on the connections and able to throw different people into different positions and still find ways to succeed? And when it came right down to it, I was really, really impressed with our attacking out of the pins. I thought that our blocking had taken a step forward, and really that we graduated all but one returning defender. And so to see what our new defense is going to look like and the blocks that we have to build on that it's always more exciting when it's not your friend, teammate, roommate through the net, and you get to just kind of unleash a little bit. And ultimately, I thought we were in a really good position.
Yeah, I thought a lot looked really good. I think in the spring, we tend to focus a lot more on like technical skill building and not really necessarily preparing for like 6-on-6 competition. And so, especially with, a big class of seniors leaving, some spring transfers coming in, knowing we have, a big class coming in the fall to kind of help round out the full program roster. Just kind of what we saw that was the best is we saw advancement in skill level of things that we needed to get better at. And where we still had some shortcomings is in still like learning how to play together with a different group. And I think that is something that like, that's where we want our shortcomings to be right now, because we really did not emphasize that in the spring when we have the whole program in there in the fall. And that really starts to become our focus of prepping for actual competition. I think that's where we will see the team take some really big steps forward there too.
You mentioned it a couple of times already, but you do have spring transfers. Football does as well. That's a big part of getting them into that, integrated into the team and everything that you've got going on. So how many spring transfers did you bring in January, and how's that looking?
We added 4 after winter break, and we had never had any transfers into our program. So we went into it eyes wide open, honest and transparent. We're just going to figure this out together, because these are women with history and playing careers at another university, different expectations, different levels of involvement. And for them to step into a team with a fairly established culture, as we're kind of working to rewrite the books, it could be a recipe for just a lot of mixed signals and mixed emotions, but setting that expectation of we are all learning together. We are starting at zero and building. It ended up being a really great fit. Our transfers came in really eyes wide open and willing to learn. Our returners saw them, not as freshmen, not as, just fresh people out of high school. They're women who've been around the college scene for a year and a half or 2 years. So it became a really open learning environment and really just a way to kind of rewrite the personality of the team as a whole. It was definitely a different challenge, but I think so far, as we're heading into finals week, I'm really pleased with our team and our process.
Okay. What is a full roster for your varsity women? About how many? Is it 20 around there?
So it's as a program total, we're going to be around 30 in the fall. The varsity number, it's a kind of fluid number because we have the ability to have some athletes play JV and then also suit up varsity. And we practice together as one big program. We travel together everywhere we go. So somewhere around that 20 number is probably accurate, but it might change from match to match even.
And then your day to day, especially like when you're like, obviously practice, you need your schedule, you need a plan and all this stuff. Is it because you have a total of 5 coaches? Is that correct? Or is it 4?
3. So we had 2 this fall that were just for the fall helping out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we're a staff of 4 in the fall, including 1 student coach.
Yeah.
But this upcoming year, we are going to be a fully fledged staff of 3.
Okay.
And you hired Haley Bush.
Yes, we did.
It really sounds like I'm well researched. I'm just looking at the website.
Looking at the website.
Iowa girl out of Waukee.
Okay.
5 years at Drake
So
University.
the W, purple W to her, she's got all the gear.
Easy
she
transition.
has everything.
Yeah.
But 2-time conference player of the year and All-American out of Drake. She has been just
in the Valley?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
She has been a tremendous addition to our program, and only 1 semester. It feels like she's been with us for a long time.
That's fantastic.
And you do have, since I'm sticking with the news here, the 3 of your athletes got the GPAC All-Conference recognition. Football had 3 as well, and so that's kind of cool to see. Kenzie Kidd, second team, Anna Long-Henry, and Kaylee Kidd, honorable mentions. And then, so the Kidd sisters...
The twins, yep.
They're twins. I mean, the Kidd sister is funny to say that way.
Yeah.
My Kidd sisters. Yeah, they but they're seniors, so they're heading. Those are some of the 12 seniors that you. Is it? No, it wasn't 12. How many did I count? You had a lot of seniors.
10,
you mentioned.
10.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, the Kidd twins, they were 5th years for us. They chose to take their COVID years, and really thankful that they did. They really helped stabilize us and give us, some punching power heading into the new conference. But thankfully, we're not done with the kids. Their younger sister, Sydney,
Oh, that's
is
right.
a rising junior for us. So we
Yeah,
still got
That's
a kid.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
We still got some kids.
Yes.
Roscoe, Illinois connection.
Yes.
Pretty good. And
It's
then-
kind of like the football team had that Tom ball connection. It's kind of it's dried up, and Coach Handel needs to step up.
As a matter of fact, Lena Yurs as well, number 5 for us last year, a graduating senior from the same high school. So we
really?
did have a nice little high school pipeline and connection there for a second. We do have some younger a freshman incoming from roughly the same area this year, different high school though. So
Are there high school programs in the area that if just because of the level of competition and the standards are held to, if there's a kid that's interested in Waldorf coming out of high school, is there those programs out there that you said it's probably just going to be a yes if they even have any interest whatsoever?
I mean, we have the last 3 top of Iowa conference players of the year on our roster this fall. So, I think there is a lot of great volleyball programs in North Iowa. And if we have the people who are, they know our program, they know our standards, a lot of them have probably been at camps for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're always willing to
That's great.
allow these local kids a chance to shine in front of family.
And you are pretty, I would say, fairly local, certainly regional. I mean, your roster, at least from, I don't know how often Waldorf updates their roster. Believe me, from the football side, we're like, can we get this going too? But it's like Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa. You've got Minnesota kids, South Dakota, and I don't know. I see that you got a Canadian there in Carissa, right?
Yeah, so I can give you for the fall, I can tell you over half the rosters from the state of Iowa.
Wow.
It's wonderful.
If you include Iowa and the states that border Iowa, that takes us to 90% of the roster.
Isn't that
So
great?
we've got a couple outliers, and we love them that they've kind of come in from right now. Texas and Washington are our outlier states, but we do also love having a very regional program. It's been great. I think also combined with the new conference and the GPAC, we've had great, family support on the road wherever we were going. And I think that just really helps the program overall.
It is huge. And that's a big part of the GPAC as a conference, just its recruiting style. You look at the teams, I think, across the sports, see it in football, and obviously you're saying the same thing in volleyball. There's probably more Dakotas, Nebraska, in a lot of the Western schools that we get to. But I mean, it's a Midwest heavy roster across the board, which is fun to see. And so the girls are playing people that they may have played against in other events, in high school.
It's actually a funny story that in the past we've had 2 of our athletes realize that their moms played against each other.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, wow.
And the connections are there. They've definitely played against each other in club. We have pictures of them playing against each other in club before they make their way here. But ultimately, volleyball is the best in the Midwest. It really, really is. And we're fortunate to reap the benefits of that.
So following a game...
Match.
No, for a football game.
Okay. Gonna say
that we lost. We lost all of them. So I'm
gonna
not
say
sure.
pick one?
I'm gonna pick one. It was coming from, I don't remember where we were at, but anyway, it was the same evening. You were at Dort. And so we were coming back from wherever we were, and we stopped and went to the Dort game and match. Well, but what is it when a match is the individual thing, and
game is
explain
the individual.
It. Game's individual.
There are 5 games or sets.
Okay, here we go.
In a complete match.
Okay.
And you only need to win 3 of them to win the match.
Okay, match.
almost like tennis.
I see. I will listen. I have done some, no, I appreciate it. I'm very ignorant in a lot of these things. I did announce 2 or 3 volleyball matches.
Yes.
And this was a few years ago. And I haven't been asked back since, but I feel like they've got a good announcer who it is. I struggled for so many reasons. 1, I don't know what's going on. 2, so that's the big one. 2, it is so fast. It is an incredibly fast-paced game, and it's like, and you are in every sport, you are penalized for your errors.
Yes.
But in volleyball, you're penalized with points. And that is not always the case in the errors that inevitably happen on the gridiron. Like, oh, there's 22 people on there, and plus the 5 refs. So there's 27 people that are going to screw up at some point. And that's not necessarily going to result in a touchdown or a field goal. But in volleyball, it's instant pain.
It's like if you miss a shot in basketball, the other team gets the points for it. Or you commit a turnover in football, it's an automatic 7 on the board.
Yeah.
So it's...
Oh, that would be so... much worse.
It's unique like that. But the other thing that we have is it's just a race to 25.
Yes.
So now I find myself getting anxious in timed sports. I'm like, why are we still going? Why can't we just be done?
Right. Yeah.
So it's very different like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I know that you switch sides. And that's probably, I don't know why, that's just the way the game is played.
Always been.
Just in case there's a little different breeze from the HVAC system on one side or the other, but
soft spot on the
always
floor.
been that way.
Upper windows, things like that.
There are 2 officials, but there are also line judges, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they the most hated? Because
The line judges, probably.
there's no way I would want to do that job.
I've done that job.
Well,
It's a hard job.
no way.
I always say that like volleyball, we're pretty tame. The things that basketball coaches, football coaches get away with yelling at officials, we get kicked out for.
Right.
So-
Well, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you don't do that.
Well, it's a very confined space. Like our football team, when we're recruiting players, it's like, do you mind snow? Because during spring ball, our kids were literally out there practicing in a blizzard.
And it was like 80 degrees the day before. Yeah.
Yeah. Where they do have to try to get down to the field house to your practices and your workouts and stuff like that. They may have to brave the elements, but you may not necessarily do you like playing outside, guys? I mean, because it's going to be like 20 degrees when we start spring camp here.
It's nice to have it indoors.
Yeah. But is there, so when you okay, and I grew up, Judas. My oldest daughter played volleyball for a little bit. She was not good. Well, Maddie, you were okay. All right. I'm still very
One of our
proud
listeners to this program is
yeah, she gets it. But it's one of those, obviously is when she was younger, but, so I'm somewhat familiar. I don't know anything about volley. I mean, I agree with Troy. Extremely fast paced. And it's like every now and then the official, that's up on the little lectern does the old heep and stops, and then he says something. Everybody's like, "Oh, okay," and awards a point. Like,
yeah. And that official, according to officials that I know, K-Dub Slater, they say if they had one sport to give up officiating, it would be volleyball. Because, and not necessarily because of, certainly not the coach of the team, the game, any of that they get. It's just the person on that podium, it's like apparently the worst on your feet. Like it's the most you can't move around. You're just standing there. And I have noticed a few times that there's like an older couple that are officials, right? There's one up in the podium and it's, I assume they're husband and wife. I don't know that for a fact, but they seem to be about the same age and they seem to get along. So maybe, do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah. They're anyway, that seems to be,
you'll see some of the more professional officials bring actually a little cushion foot pad and put that up there and climb up and down. But
that's the key.
It's so fast paced.
Yeah.
It's so fast paced and figuring out, what are people going to call, kind of what's the pace of the play that night. Ultimately, you just want to see a great match, and that is decided by the teams and the play.
All right. So go ahead.
Because I'm thinking that in volleyball, especially collegiate women's volleyball, it's so very, very fast. There's got to be a lot of instances where the officials can impact the game significantly, whether obviously they don't intend to, but at the same time, that's got to be somewhat frustrating. Like, ugh. And again, just Not like in football.
Yeah.
In football, they'll miss a call or have a bad call, but that doesn't necessarily. It's like, okay, we're going to just put you back here 5 yards, and
they call it in or out. I mean, that's a point for somebody. I mean, so immediately. I mean,
everybody sees it different ways. That's what would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Because about the time that flag goes down, like, oh, I guess it's in,
Yeah.
and then somebody's like, no.
And that's why they moved at like the highest level international Olympic games. They have that Hawkeye stuff, the same like that you see in tennis, because that just takes the question part out of that. But I think that isn't sometimes the toughest call is that really close in out call or the really close, touch call on the block. Those are where the job is really tough sometimes.
Yeah. So
can you get after the officials? Can you do like go all John McEnroe on them?
I mean,
I wouldn't go McEnroe on them, but if I know what I see, I'm going to make sure that they hear me.
I will say I've learned that the only time I've ever gotten an official to overturn a call is when you actually like ask them very politely, like, "Hey, did you happen to see this, or did you notice this part?" And then that actually gets them to maybe reconsider it, as opposed to when you're just like, "Hey."
So this is a question that I asked in basketball, which I did not have a very good career in. I ended in middle school. But are there plays?
Yes.
So there are plays, and this is probably simple. People are like shouting at of course there's plays. I didn't know there were plays in basketball, and I was on the team.
That one's worse. That's worse.
Yeah.
It is.
But in volleyball, for the most part, it's completely an audible system.
Mm-hmm.
The attackers are yelling at the setter where they want the ball, how fast, how high they want the ball, and that communication has to happen in a second.
Yeah.
But there are 2 times in volleyball that we can call plays.
I mean, it's so a serve receive and free ball essentially plays, but there's also, and every team is different because some teams might call plays in transition or different areas, but the different philosophies. And the biggest thing is just having your team, one, understand like kind of what's a base offensive philosophy, and then how do we take advantage of different things situationally. So sometimes there's plays that you might not even think of necessarily as a play, but yeah.
So in terms of like football, like West Coast offense versus, setting up, running on I formation, things like that. Depending on who you have, you can run really fast, you can run really slow, you can run tight on the net, you can run off, and there's points and purposes to all of that. You might have attackers that you can run out to the right side of the net and the left side, or a middle who's comfortable running across the net. There's a lot of different philosophies, which is why the game is constantly so much fun to watch. You are never seeing the same thing
Right.
over and over and over. It is constantly different.
And you study film.
Yes.
And when you're studying film in volleyball, are you looking for, like in any other sport, are you looking for obviously how they're set up, but then because the rosters are a little smaller, then you can really kind of focus on individual players, even more so than perhaps we do in football necessarily. But you can, like, is there I don't even know what these people are called, but like, is there a person who can only hit with one, in one direction?
Yes.
That's important to know because they probably shift in your defense or something like that. And then, right. And so you're looking for weaknesses in players, but obviously their strengths are going to be very apparent too. And you have to counter that.
There are 6 rotations in volleyball, and in each rotation, could be 2 to 3 attackers, and knowing what they prefer to run, what the attackers prefer to hit, what they will do in a situation of a perfect pass versus an off pass. I could get lost in film. I do about 4 hours of film per opponent. And that is included with software that breaks things down further. So I don't need to watch 8 hours of film per opponent. And we're playing multiple matches in a week.
Yes.
So I don't
It's not one game a week.
No. I don't have one game and, a staff that's responsible for looking at this, looking at this, looking at this. We are crash watching 2 matches for that week. We are prepping for the 2 opponents a week out. We are constantly watching film and trying to learn tendencies and give our athletes just that one piece of information so they can predict what is happening.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have it, that game is so fast. If you don't have any idea of where to go, you will always be in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because
Could
you're
be
looking
me.
for tendencies, you're looking for strengths and weaknesses. But what you're also trying to figure out is, okay, what's actually important to the team and what's not, because there's so like Bree could give them a book on every team,
I could.
but they wouldn't digest any of it. And then they'd get out on the court and you end up in that mode where you're almost paralyzed by like over analysis of what am I supposed to be doing in this situation. So it's like, you're always trying to boil it down to like, okay, what is like the couple key things that we need to do, or what maybe little adjustment do we have to make in the way that we're playing against this team versus another team, versus there's kind of like a static state of just kind of like, how do we just play, if we don't even consider the opponent. So
Yeah. And also verbiage, one of the things from announcing, but then just my observation then was it is so talk about warlike. I mean,
Yes.
even more so than football, which was created by veterans so their boys would kind of experience some sort of war. But the terminology in volleyball, you mentioned attack, and then you have kill.
Kill is a stat.
Yeah.
You want kills.
Well, obviously you want kills. And so, I mean, there's so help me out with some of the other verbiage here
There's block,
terminology, block. Yes. Aces.
Tools.
Okay.
Huh?
A tool.
Then
Okay.
what's that?
I know a few of those.
Don't
tool.
say a tool is a podcast host.
Well, you just took it right out of my mouth. But a tool is if an attacker goes up and sees a block in front of them and they hit the ball off the edge of the block and out of bounds. So instead of the block counting for the blocking team, it counts for the attacking team.
so
It's called a
essentially,
tool.
essentially using the defense's block against them and kind of using it to score a point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hadn't heard that one before.
So for our football listeners, though, can you just quickly explain the different positions? And I'm going to end on the one that I've been mystified for years. But outside hitter seems like a person to be on the outside.
Outside hitter hits on the left side of the court.
Oh.
They tend to take the most swings, most attacks, a lot of usually the most versatile players who can play front row and back row.
Okay. So they're on the left.
They're on the left.
That's important to know. A defensive specialist.
Back row only.
Oh, okay. Right side.
Right side of the court.
So why don't they call it
also-
left side for outside hitter?
They do at the international level.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah, so the outside hitters also go by left side, and the right side hitters also go by the term opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
the right sides tend to be a little bit taller, really good blockers, really terminal attackers.
Oh.
But since they put that defensive pressure on, they're less versatile in the back row usually.
A setter.
General runs the offense. She's the quarterback.
Oh, okay. Middle blocker.
Just
Middle front row.
middle front row.
Always front row.
Yes. So
Usually a blocker.
one of the things that I remember from your tenure as a volleyball announcer was
I remember this.
because it's just abbreviated as MB, and you obviously didn't know what.
I had no idea.
So like I definitely remember you like continuing to announce them as the middle back.
Yes.
Which is a defensive specialist. So
Okay.
Our middles are our tallest players.
Okay.
And when you were introducing them as middle backs,
Yeah.
they were cracking up, crying with laughter on the court because they were like, "You heard him, coach. I'm a libero now. I'm a defender."
Ah.
Back there.
Then you're getting to it.
Yes.
Did we cover them all except libero?
I think so.
What the hell is a libero?
A libero.
Is it libero? Libero? I have
Oh,
a different
gosh.
colored jersey for some reason. What's going on here?
Libero.
Oh, libero. Yes.
You can pronounce it either way.
Oh my
It
goodness.
really doesn't matter. We call them the bro. They are wearing a different
sup,
color
bro?
jersey. They are a back row defensive specialist who is usually the best one.
Okay.
And originally in volleyball, you would sub people in if they were going front row to back row. But you only had a set number of subs. So if you would run out and I would put in a 5'3" Macy Stratton for, 6'1" Alicia Brandt, if I ran out of subs, 5'3" in the front row isn't going to do me much good in terms of blocking.
Right.
Unless she
So-
jumps like Matt.
Yeah.
Used to. But
Apparently.
at the international level, they kind of recognize this. So they put a different color jersey on a defensive specialist and said she can go in and out of the game without counting against your subs.
Oh.
So basically kind of a queen in chess.
Oh.
She can move
Do
any
anywhere.
direction, move in any place. There are a few rules surrounding her, but
Yeah,
your best defender is your libero.
the limitations for that role are that one, she can only be used in the back row, and that two, she cannot set with her hands in front of the 10-foot or 3-meter line on the court, so that you don't have people using it just as a way to get a setter in and
Okay.
allow them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, so
I've learned so much.
I was going to, well, and like I'm remembering PE class when we played.
Yeah, that's what I would
volleyball,
base my
where-
knowledge.
Where we had to rotate so that you
Yes.
always, so you still rotate,
Yes.
but then you have to try to formulate your offense and defense based. So once the ball is in play,
You can switch.
you can move,
The front row can switch amongst front row. The back row can switch amongst back row.
I
but
see.
you can't have
No,
backs move to the front.
correct.
Holy,
And
Right?
and how many
probably super
substitutions do you get in a game?
Well, that's an excellent question. At the international level, 6, NCAA level,
It's like
is it 15 now?
I think. Yeah.
The club level, 12, high school, 18, NAIA, unlimited.
Wow.
Wild West, baby.
So,
Wild West.
The Wild West.
in my observations of as a spectator, not as an announcer, where I'm too busy trying to figure out what's going on.
We got the middle linebacker.
We got the
coming
middle
in.
backer. So lots of fun things happening on the sideline. They're
Yes.
all standing up. Is that something that you make them do, or are they happy to? That's what they want to do. They're like, and I see it on all teams. Like it seems like from what I've seen in the GPAC anyway, it's like they're all doing it. Everybody's standing up.
That's just collegiate.
Okay.
Everyone's standing. I know in
And they're
high
all
school,
standing in a line.
High school, you're required to sit, which I know our high school team wasn't happy about, but otherwise, volleyball players are standing on the
I
sidelines.
think
Yeah.
even that high school rule like varies by state too. So I mean, yeah.
So Iowa requires you the high school volleyball players to sit.
Yes.
Hmm.
Wisconsin as well.
Do they now?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so when you're watching a volleyball match,
Yes.
and whichever team gets a point, they lose their minds. Whether it's a good play or whatever it is that a psychological warfare as much as anything? Because the women on the other side of the net are going,
Yeah. But even when that happens, I've noticed that volleyball players always, it's team camaraderie or whatever. They're always, no matter what happens, it's like meet in the middle, slap, and then go back and do whatever. I mean, I don't know what they're saying to each other, but I mean, it's even if something bad happens, usually it's the same thing. They quick huddle, and the one who made an error is like, my bad, and like, well, we all know, and then they move, whatever, right? So is that?
I just always think about, so if you have a team on they're on a roll, man, it's point
Yeah.
after point after point. And then I always just thought that celebration, that very overt scream, primal, has got to mess with the other team.
A little bit, yeah.
I think so. It's just a
Or is that just what
natural
you do?
part of the game. Like even I remember back in my days, you got a kill, there was a cheer for the kill. There was a cheer for the ace. My dad used to call volleyball synchronized cheerleading before he realized it was my profession. And it's just this idea of you work so hard to attain this perfection that you need in our sport. And
Yeah.
if you don't have this perfection, you're penalized for it pretty dramatically. So you go all out. You go all out in that celebration. You've achieved that objective 1 of 25. You're part of the way there. Yeah, you're cheering. You're taking every single bit of psychological edge you can. And that's another thing that our team embraced. Excellence there. We are determined to be the loudest, most chaotic, riotous team in the gym. And that's how we're out teaming some people.
Yeah. Well, I think, and there's clapping involved. Those are coordinated. I mean, it's not cheerleading, but I mean, there's definitely some clapping involved, and I've noticed that. I think, would you imagine, Andy, if if the football team does, because they're engaged, right? So that all of your players on the sideline are engaged because they have to do the right I don't want to say cheer, but like they're engaged as a team. Like
Yes.
it's one unit, and whether they're on the court or off. And can you imagine if they did the same thing, like the whole sideline, no matter what occurred, and then it was like whatever the deal, and they have something to because I know it's different, but it would be. But can you imagine that many eyes?
Well, yeah, but you got to realize too that in the sport of football, where it differentiates is that there's what really gets people riled up is that big hit. And
Yeah.
So somebody coming across the middle, tip pass, boom, huge impact.
Yeah.
And then more often than not, the player that made the hit doesn't start celebrating right away because I think they have to wait and see, they kill him?
They're alive. Yes.
But everybody on the sideline goes, oh, and then we start
Well,
Yeah.
the big hit.
volleyball and football together, the plays are about 8 seconds long.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actual plays anywhere from 8 to 15 seconds long. But in between, in volleyball, there's 20 seconds of downtime. For football, that can be up to a minute
Oh, yeah.
in between.
Tell me
So
about it.
when you condense all that, that emotion doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And you need to keep it moving, keep it going. And
For
it's,
sure.
I will say, the football players, when our student section is incredible. And when I invite them out, I say, if you're confused about what to do at a volleyball match, mimic what the volleyball team does.
Yeah.
And I will say our teams, our student section has done a phenomenal job of picking up on our chants and cheers
Yeah.
and just engaging, and they're having a great amount of fun. So I would push the guys, I would challenge them, what can we do to make this a little bit more cohesive? And
Yeah. Well, the crowd at a volleyball matches in.
Good job.
I'm just working so hard. to say
Super
that.
proud of you right
Yeah.
now.
It's gonna fall away, but I mean, the crowd is into it, and it doesn't matter if it's. I mean, locally, the high school. I don't think we've missed a Four City Lake Mills match probably in years, just because
Classics.
those are rivals, and it's that way in college. So whether it's at Hanson Fieldhouse or when we stopped by Dort, it was in their little curved, gym or whatever, and it's like that. I mean, it's just alive. I think that was also their homecoming though, so they really had a huge
homecoming and parents weekend.
Yeah,
It
parents.
was fantastic.
Yeah, but it was just echoing, and so that's an awesome environment to play in, whatever you're doing. Yeah.
So during a volleyball match, what scenario is the most stressful as a coach and probably as a player too? But what's that one where you just go, oh, I hate this part?
Serving on match point.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pressure of the moment, but other than that, I'm not sure if there's one singular moment, when you're doing this as long as we've been, you see situations and you're like, oh, if we can survive this, if we can get through this, we got a good chance of converting all the way out. If we can rotate forward to and get this player back in the match or back in the front row, I think, we're there. But I'm not sure if there's anything more nerve-wracking than match point. I'm thinking all the way back to the high school days and like serving out at Arcadia, serving or serve receive to go to state, all of that stuff kind of right on the edge
Yeah.
is always the most nerve-wracking.
Please. Yeah, a lot of that.
Make the serve, make the
Yeah.
serve, make the serve.
So we're getting down to the end, but I got to believe, you two, you work together. I assume you live in the same place.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
Well, I knew you're married, but I just didn't want to make assumptions, because, hey, this is whatever, modern times. But do you guys ever turn it off? Do you guys ever is it sitting around, watching TV or like, hey, Nebraska's playing Iowa State in volleyball. This is going to be a huge match, Troy. And so we got to watch this. We got to do that. Or is it talking about the recruiting trail, talking about, hey, we got this coming up? Do you guys ever get a chance to just flip the switch off and just be a couple? And what?
Yes, we do.
At each other like
He's looking at me, I'm looking at him, but yes, and that's kind of how we've managed to work and stay married together this long, coming up on 15 years. And it's because when we're in the field house, when it's head coach, associate head coach, assistant coach, and we're talking and we're planning and we're recruiting, we're battling, debating, figuring out all the nuances. When we go home, we hit not a complete hard pause because this job is year round. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
But we do a really conscious job of what's for dinner, what are we watching tonight. I'm going to be watching film as, a TV show is playing, or we're going to go and watch some matches together. But I think the secret to what we've been able to put together is the fact that we recognize when we are the married couple and when we are the coaching, staff. And it's going well so far. I mean, you can chime in on this one.
Yeah, and I think also just it helps that we have different strengths. And so we have different kind of areas of the program that we kind of take more responsibility in, I would say. So we're not like, both trying to dive into the same thing constantly or anything like that. It definitely helps too. Yeah.
That's good.
Very good at giving each other space.
Yeah. And what do you guys like to do in your spare time?
We like to travel. We love cooking. We love eating. We did like frequenting an establishment in downtown Forest City, before its untimely closing. No, we just like the business of living a little bit. So
that's good. So for our listeners, when they go to lacrosse, because they're going to flock to lacrosse, where are they supposed to go?
Oh, for what? If you're going and looking for a good cocktail, I mean, the recovery room, the
Boom
side, the Alpine Inn.
Mm-hmm.
Where else? John's downtown.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because we've actually been out of there for 8 years now, and I think a lot has started to change in lacrosse in terms of some of the standbys that we would have gone to maybe in the past are changing operations or different things. There is a restaurant in lacrosse, although they are actually moving locations out on Alaska sometime soon, I believe. But anyways, Mung's Golden Egg Rolls. Amazing food.
10 out of 10.
So
egg rolls, fried rice, everything.
There's a really strong Hmong population in the lacrosse area, and this restaurant has been a standby literally since when I was in college. And they were operating out of a little hole in the wall, basically next to a Quick Trip. And they've kind of moved up in the world.
Star for those of you in
yeah, Quick Trip, Quick Star, same company.
Yeah, exactly. 6-1.
But yeah, they've moved up to kind of a full restaurant now, and as the name would suggest, the egg rolls are incredible, but also everything on the menu is great. One time we played in a tournament at Viterbo for a weekend, and we took the team there after the tournament, and now most of the team got like fried rice and egg rolls. They kept it pretty basic, but they all loved it, so they vouched for my pick there.
Yeah. Some of them were a little scared, but the ones that branched out found it delicious.
So when my wife and I go places, there's two different types of establishments we like to go to. We always like to go to liquor stores and grocery stores, not because we buy a lot, because it's very interesting because that talks a lot about the culture there, what you eat and drink. Up in Onalaska, Woodman's Market.
Yes.
The liquor store is monstrous. Last time I was there, I may have left with a couple cases of a certain spirit that I'm fond of.
All right.
The prices are insanely good. Mm-hmm. And I think it's cash or debit card only, something like that. Or maybe it's only credit card.
They gotta be.
I can't remember, but yeah,
Wisconsin,
anyway.
You got to think ahead, but they're
go to lacrosse. Go to lacrosse. And sorry, Matt, I mean, I'm not sending anybody in Milwaukee. I got a buddy that I'll see here in a few months. He lives north of Random Lake, north of Milwaukee, up there. So
I mean, lacrosse is definitely known as a bar town. There's that whole like 3rd Street area downtown that's like literally just bar after bar after bar for probably a mile long stretch.
Been there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Last plug, if you and your wives are heading back there, Buzzard Billy's. Great restaurant, but just above it is a little cocktail bar called the Starlight Lounge. If you're looking for something fun that way.
That sounds
so. What's the name of the place up on the bluffs?
The Alpine?
That's the Alpine. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never stopped there, but you always have to go up to the bluffs and walk way out there and look over lacrosse, and it's beautiful, and it's it can be a bit unnerving when you look straight over, and there's a little golf course down to the north there.
Sounds beautiful.
You should
If
go
hit
try.
the Alpine, you can do some sand volleyball, and if you hit it just wrong, you can watch the ball just fly down the bluff.
Ooh.
Is there? I'm going to bring it back home. Is there so the other schools have? I don't know if they all have men's volleyball. I know that Dordt did. when we were there? Because they came right after.
They're down to actually only a couple in the conference.
Is that right?
now, yeah.
Is that something that is developing, or is that a future Waldorf? Any rumors there?
I would say that men's volleyball would come with if and when we add another indoor facility.
I see. Yeah.
Part of it is from space considerations, but also the men's volleyball game requires a little bit higher ceiling than what we have in the Hanson Field.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Very good.
Didn't know that.
You talked a lot about La Crosse. It's a great town. You guys have been here for 8 years. What makes Forest City special?
The people. The people were the reason why we came here. The people that were invested in Waldorf, the people that were invested in making this community a great one. You can go anywhere and receive a wave and find a friendly face wherever you're at, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, it is the people. It's a very friendly and welcoming and incredibly supportive community here. As someone who grew up in Milwaukee, the traffic in Forest City is just wonderful in comparison.
Yeah.
But the other side of it that I always tell, because we have some recruits come in from big cities, and I've really enjoyed the balance of the environment, that you have this great small community here that has everything that you would need on a daily basis. But then if you want to get away to a big city area, basically any direction you go in, you can get to one very quickly. So I kind of love that balance in my life, that, day-to-day living, this is awesome. And then if I want to go to a big city area, like the Twin Cities, that I've driven that so many times at this point, that feels like a breeze getting up there. So
I'll bet.
Yeah. Well, very good. The community of Forest City is supportive. From the Waldorf Gridiron Club perspective, we're happy to have all of our Gridiron Club members there. They love tailgating. They on Saturday afternoons at Bullstorf Field. The following is getting better at away games, but it's still not as maybe as great as it could be. So we're working on that. But several times last season, we had volleyball matches and football home games on top of each other, and so we're very hopeful. And we always promoted from the PA guy. I always promoted what was going on over at Hanson Fieldhouse and sending people that way, and particularly if it was happening. They'd have same times. They'd have at 1 o'clock, and it would be, we got to work on that.
So I can tell you, looking ahead at this fall schedule, we will not have any overlap on Saturdays.
Okay,
this year.
That's awesome.
That might change the year after, but for the 2025 season, no overlap. But I actually, the overlap this year led to one of the kind of more fun situations that we've had. And it was that homecoming weekend.
Yes,
that was incredible. And our football team,
football, volleyball,
Soccer.
yeah, and our football team played an awesome game that day. They really did, from everything that we heard, because obviously we couldn't be watching it.
Yeah, right.
But and we had, because we were playing at literally the same time that day, and we had some athletes on campus that were like, hey, we know the football game's going to have a great crowd. We're going to come out to volleyball to make sure that you guys have a good crowd too. And then, we're playing against Midland, and we're battling really hard, and people, the word started to get out to the football game of oh, hey, they're winning.
Yes.
They might upset Midland here. And the slow trickle of people into the field house as that game got later, that was pretty awesome to see, that just the crowd getting bigger and bigger as the match goes on.
Then when the match ended, just watching everyone flood right back outside to football. So
right.
it was special.
Well, very good.
Well, we love having you guys here. We love what you're doing at our university for these women. And again, receiving girls, turning women loose into this world that are going to make a difference. And it's because of what you guys are doing. And just want to thank you for that from a lover of Waldorf and a Forest City person. Thank you guys for what you do. It's beyond exceptional. So very, very good.
100% agree.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Waldorf Volleyball Podcast. We want to thank Bree and Matt Ebenhoe for taking some time out of their very busy schedule to come out here to the bunker and, figure out what this whole podcast thing is all about.
One of the most educational ones we've done, for me anyway.
Yeah, I didn't know I was so dumb, but
it was a pleasure for us. And by the time we come out next time, we'll have our drink made up for you. But I think it's got to have some fruit punch and some blue curacao in there to make that purple.
Oh,
So.
see, now that's very specifically good.
Here, contest.
Okay.
A contest of the, what do we call it?
Woosmack.
Woosmack contest, and so everybody makes their own recipe, and then we come in, we do a taste test. I think, Troy, you and I should do that. Maybe
Yes.
not before the game's over, unless there's a lot of rain.
If there's a 3-hour rain delay,
And we're
hide the Woosmack bowl.
so we could do that. Yeah, I think you guys are onto something. So, yeah, keep it up.
Thank you for having us. We
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast and learning a little bit more about volleyball. I mean, I think we all learned a little something today, right, folks? Right, Troy?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Absolutely. All right. For Troy Thompson, this is Andy Buffington, and forever and always, go Warriors. You can join the Waldorf Gridiron Club and be part of the best small college football experience in America.
Just visit our website and pick your membership level. Find us and everything Waldorf Gridiron Club related, including professional photos, at waldorfgridironclub.org.
You can also click on the Support the Show link in the show notes to donate.
And you can even use the United States Postal Service by sending your check to the Waldorf Gridiron Club, P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa, 50436.
It's tax exempt, hassle free, and has a level for every budget.
That's right, anyone can join, even our rivals.
Show your colors. Join the Gridiron Club today.
Get it?
Got it. Fantastic.
The Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast is hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson. Produced by Sunnyside Farm Studios in beautiful rural Forest City, Iowa. Platformed by Buzzsprout and music by Soundstrike. The Waldorf Gridiron Club is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the student athletes of the Waldorf University football program. Our mission is to assist the program in maintaining the best small college football experience in America.